Imagine a world that existed before life wrote its first sentence on Earth. A world born in fire, sculpted by catastrophe, and left to whisper its secrets across 4.5 billion years of silence. This is Mars. Not the cold, dead rock you think you know. Not the barren wasteland from your nightmares. Mars is a world that once roared, with rivers, with storms, with a sky that held color. A world that tried. And today, for the first time in human history, we are close enough to hear what it's been trying to say. 4.5 billion years ago, our solar system was pure chaos. Dust, gas, and rock spinning, colliding, merging. Out of this cosmic violence, 8 worlds were born. Mars was one of them. But Mars had something none of the others had quite like it. Position. Close enough to the sun to be warm, far enough to be different. For hundreds of millions of years, Mars was alive. Volcanoes the size of France erupted continuously, a magnetic field wrapped around it like armor, and on its surface, water. Actual, flowing, liquid water. If you had stood on Mars 3.7 billion years ago and looked up, you wouldn't have seen the red sky we know today. You'd have seen blue. And then, something happened. Around 4 billion years ago, Mars lost its core. Its magnetic field, the invisible shield that protected everything, died. The solar wind didn't knock, it didn't ask permission, it simply stripped Mars bare. Layer by layer, the atmosphere was torn away into space. The water evaporated, froze, or sank underground. The sky turned red, the rivers dried, the volcanoes went silent. You step out of the airlock, your boots hit Martian soil. The silence is unlike anything you've heard on Earth. No birds, no wind, for now. Just the crunch of iron oxide dust under your feet. The same dust that gave Mars its name, the Red Planet. You look around, and for a moment, you could almost be in the Arizona desert. Rust-colored rocks, a flat, sweeping plain, a salmon pink sky above. And then, the wind starts. On Mars, wind doesn't whisper, it screams. Stand at the base of Olympus Mons, and you can't see the top. Not because of clouds, because it's too tall for your eyes to follow. At 21 kilometers above the Martian surface, Olympus Mons is the largest volcano in the entire solar system. Mount Everest, the peak we celebrate as the roof of the world, wouldn't even reach its foothills. You could fit the entire United Kingdom inside its caldera. And yet, from orbit, it barely looks like a bump. That's how big Mars thinks. But Olympus Mons isn't alone. Mars is a world of extremes. Everything here operates at a scale that makes Earth feel small, fragile, almost modest. If Olympus Mons is Mars showing off its height, then Valles Marineris is Mars showing off its rage. Stretch the Grand Canyon across the United States from coast to coast. Now, make it 10 times deeper. Now, multiply its width by 5. That is Valles Marineris, a scar on the face of Mars that is 7,000 kilometers long, 600 kilometers wide, and drops 7 kilometers into the planet's crust. Scientists still debate what caused it. A tectonic rupture, a planetary crack so severe that Mars split down to its bones. When you stand at the edge of Valles Marineris and look down, you don't see the bottom, you see darkness. Mars doesn't just whisper about violence, it carved it into itself permanently. Here's the thing about water on Mars. It didn't all disappear. Some of it stayed, locked in the polar ice caps, frozen beneath the permafrost, hidden in ancient lake beds that still echo the shape of the ocean that once filled them. In 2018, ESA's Mars Express radar detected something extraordinary beneath the South Pole, a body of liquid water, actual liquid water, sitting 1.5 kilometers below the ice. Let that sink in. On a planet where the average temperature is -80 degrees Celsius, where the atmosphere is barely 1% as thick as Earth's, there is still liquid water. And where there is water, we always ask the same question: is there life on Mars? We don't know, but, and this is the part that should keep you up at night, we keep finding reasons to wonder. In 2019, the Curiosity rover detected a sudden spike in methane gas. On Earth, 90% of atmospheric methane is produced by living organisms. Could it be geological? Yes. Could it be ancient deposits slowly releasing gas? Absolutely. But could it be something alive, hiding deep in the Martian rock, breathing out the faintest chemical signature? We cannot rule it out. The history of science is a history of impossible things turning out to be real. Life was found in volcanoes, in acid lakes, in nuclear reactors, in the vacuum of space. Mars had the right conditions for 500 million years. That's longer than it took life to go from single cells to complex organisms on Earth. Something could have started on Mars. Something might still be there. Right now, as you watch this, a rover named Perseverance is crawling across the floor of Jezero Crater, an ancient lake bed. It is patiently drilling into the rock, sealing samples into titanium tubes, laying them in a specific pattern, waiting for a future mission to pick them up and bring them home. The samples it has already collected contain something remarkable: organic molecules. Not proof of life. Not yet, but organic chemistry is the language life speaks. Mars is writing sentences in that language. When those samples return to Earth, if they return, every laboratory on the planet will be ready. The greatest scientific question in human history will either be answered or made even more mysterious. Either way, we will never see Mars the same way again. Humanity has been obsessed with Mars for over a century. In 1877, astronomers thought they saw canals. They imagined a dying civilization engineering water across a desert world. They were wrong about the canals, but maybe not wrong about everything. In 1965, Mariner 4 sent back the first close-up images of Mars, 22 grainy photographs. The world stared at a cratered, dead-looking surface, and collective hope deflated. But we kept sending machines, smarter ones, bolder ones. In 1976, the Viking landers touched down and conducted the first life detection experiments in history. The results were ambiguous. Scientists still argue about them today. And then, in 2021, a helicopter named Ingenuity flew on another planet for the first time. Something powered, controlled, human-made flew through the Martian air. The Wright brothers happened 118 years earlier. Progress doesn't slow down. Now, for the first time, it's not just governments dreaming about Mars. SpaceX has built the most powerful rocket in human history, Starship, specifically designed for one purpose: to get humans to Mars and back. NASA has set a target date in the 2030s. China has its own program. The UAE's Hope orbiter has been studying the Martian atmosphere since 2021. We are living through the moment when Mars transitions from a destination of the imagination to a destination on a boarding pass. And the first humans to land there are probably already alive. They might be in school right now. They might be watching a video like this one, not knowing yet that their name will be written in the history books of 2 planets. But let's not pretend this is easy, because it is spectacularly, almost insanely difficult. The journey takes 6 to 9 months each way, inside a tin can in deep space, bombarded by radiation that no shield can fully block. By the time astronauts arrive, their bodies will have already taken a beating that no gym can fix. On Mars, a global dust storm can cover the entire planet for months, blocking solar power, blinding equipment, freezing everything. And if something goes wrong, Houston can't hear you. Not in time. At maximum distance, a radio signal takes 24 minutes to arrive. You are on your own. Every human to set foot on Mars will have to be the bravest, most capable, most self-sufficient person who has ever lived. And somehow, that makes it more beautiful, not less. People often ask, why Mars? Why spend those resources? Why risk those lives? And the answer is not just scientific. It's not just practical. It's something deeper than both. Because when humans leave Earth and stand on another world, something happens to our collective consciousness, something that cannot be undone. It happened with the Apollo missions. When we first saw Earth from the moon, this fragile blue marble hanging in the void, it changed how we understood ourselves. Borders stopped making as much sense. Our problems looked smaller. Our potential looked infinite. Mars will do that again, but bigger. Because Mars is not a visit. Mars is a second home. Think about this. Within 100 years, there could be children born on Mars who have never breathed Earth's air, who grow up looking at a sky that is not blue, who call themselves Martians, who look at photographs of Earth the way we look at photographs of the village our great-grandparents left behind. We are not just talking about exploration. We are talking about the next chapter of the human story. For 300,000 years, all of humanity has lived, died, and dreamed on one single world. Every war was fought here, every book was written here, every love was felt here, every civilization rose and fell here. Mars breaks that. Mars says we are not a one-planet species anymore. And once that door opens, it never closes. Mars has been waiting for 4 billion years. It has watched comets pass, it has felt the warmth of a younger sun. It has held water in its valleys, and ice in its poles, and secrets in its rocks that no human eye has yet seen. It has been patient. And now, in this tiny sliver of cosmic time, this blink of an eye in the life of the universe, a species from a small blue planet nearby has looked up, pointed, and said, "We are coming." Not to conquer, not to destroy, to understand, to survive, to become something new. The red planet has a question it has been holding for billions of years, a question about whether life in the universe is a miracle or a pattern. And we are the ones, this generation right now, who are going to go there and find out. Mars is calling, and we are finally ready to answer.